Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Uncaged. It has been a little bit, but we are back. Episode 6 of Season 3, getting closer to the finale of Season 3. As always, my name is Mike Larkin, and by my side is the one, the only, my boy DC, and the place to be, Daniel Crimmins. Daniel, we are back, and it feels good to be back.
To paraphrase a wrestling song, we are back, and we're better than ever.
Got knack for making things better. Yes. All right.
You saw what I did there.
I saw what you did there. And Daniel, I will say this. It does feel good to be back for us because we took a little bit of time off for this. We both had a lot of stuff going on, but
we took a bit of a sabbatical, if you will.
A sabbatical, if you will. And I think the best way to come back is to talk about something that Daniel has something very near and dear to his heart, and something that I'm an appreciator of as well. We are going to be talking about classic belts, classic championships, if you will.
Exactly. You know, some of the good, the bad, and then the downright what the hell.
All right, we'll start with the downright what the hell because I want to see Daniel's blood pressure rise a little bit. Jeff Hardy's TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Boom.
Yeah, that honestly, to me, that's one of the absolute worst. I mean, you can tell Jeff designed that freaking thing.
Well, that's his, from his imagination, where he went into very much like he would do with his sculptors and all his,
Was it his imagination or was it something else?
Ooh, okay. So it reminds me very much like Willow-esque of one. It was based off one of his paintings that he did back in the day. And I get it because it fits the Jeff Hardy mold and also him being the Antichrist of professional wrestling, the heel. But it was ugly. It legit looked like the Divas Championship.
And the sad thing is, like, I remember seeing a picture of when Sting won it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking at it like, what is this?
What the hell do I have?
It looked like a toy.
Well, no, that was when Mr. Anderson had it for like a little bit, and then Sting beat Jeff Hardy at Victory Road, and he looked at it like, what the fuck? What am I holding here?
And then, like, when Anderson had it, like, you can tell he was just a transitional thing.
Yeah, and I mean, the best thing that they could do was to just get rid of that championship belt. It made me feel like once Jeff Hardy lost it to Mr. Anderson, like that belt
should have been it.
It should have been it. But I mean, could you understand it from the standpoint of the character of Jeff Hardy and having it be that particular belt?
I can, but still, a title should look like, a championship. I mean, look at some of the custom ones. Look at the Smoking Skull.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a championship.
Yep.
I mean, you wouldn't want anybody other than Stone Cold having it.
Right. And I mean, if you go back to what the hell type of vibes here, I know you were not a fan of the IWGP Championship. Let's talk about
Version 5, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champ, because really it's two separate titles. There's the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, which is the one that, some of the greats had, Okada,
mm-hmm.
Omega, the one that was last held by Kota Ibushi. And now, you have just an iconic title, and then you have the IWGP Divas World Heavyweight Championship, because that's really what it looks like.
It's horrible. And I think with me, and I'll say this about New Japan and the IWGP Championship, I come from the mid-2000s, much like yourself. Like, I remember seeing Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar have that championship. The likes of Yuji Nagata, the likes of, oh my goodness, Okada, Naito, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and many of the greats. And then you see this, and it's just like, what in the world?
Exactly. And honestly, it seems like the pattern that they're going with, like, their newer titles, like the Global Championship or whatever, the one that Nick Nemeth, aka Ziggles,
yes,
has.
The Global Championship where he's going to wrestle Steve Maclin with it coming up. Yep.
Why?
The match? Why or just the championship?
The title.
Oh, the title. I mean, it introduced something new, and it could be like a workhorse championship, much like the North American Championship is in NXT.
And I think the goal was to kind of make it what the IWGP Intercontinental used to be. And bring that back.
I mean, hey, MVP did wonders with that. And I mean, you can have that. Like, why the hell not?
Shinsuke Nakamura had it.
Yep.
Andrade had it.
Yep.
Some of the all-time greats that you now see in WWE. had it.
It's interesting to me because you look at the global championship now. Do I think it's the perfect fit for Dolph Ziggler? Yes, with him being
Yeah,
the
well, absolutely.
for the Nick Nemeth character and him just touring over in Japan and also intertwining that with his TNA run against Steve Macklin. I like it. I think he's had a great run since coming out of WWE. And speaking of champions in New Japan, how about Matt Riddle, man? Bro.
Don't even get me started on that ugly piece of shit.
The TV is it's a TV title, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Okay, why don't you like the TV title?
IWGP Global World Television, like what now? And I know the person that designed it, and decent enough guy. And I know he just, gives some design estimates to New Japan and says, hey, which one? And they're the ones that have to sign off and be like, that one. Why?
I don't know. I mean, the IWGP United States Championship is cool. I like the tag titles are cool. I think for me, and you'd want to talk about what the hell, because we look at many different variations of divisions in wrestling. My ultimate one, like we mentioned, what the hell ones, dude, I'm going to say this and put this out here into the forefront. When the WWE had the Raw Tag Team Championships, the World Tag Team Championships, that made it look like a doggone penny, like that, I could deal without that design.
The penny tags, yep.
The penny tag titles, like looking at like Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne when they were Air Boom and they had those titles, and I'm like, it looks ridiculous. Like y'all look ridiculous with those titles. They love the penny.
And then, funny enough, the original version of those titles, the ones that Jericho and Big Show had nameplates on them.
Yes, I mean when they had the Undisputed.
Last I'd heard, those tag titles are now in the hands of a private collector.
I mean, you look at the Undisputed Tag Team Championship, like you mentioned, Jericho. I thought it was cool with the two titles, and I mean, those titles were cool with the nameplates, but I think, like you mentioned, and I think also when you look at a championship belt, like taking nameplates off of it and just having a design, it doesn't have that same allure.
Yeah, and it's... I do like how they had the Raw and the SmackDown tag team titles. The silver. I like silver on a title. I do. I think it can look very, very nice. But, and I kind of feel bad for Judgment Day. Like, those titles are not light, people.
No, they're heavy.
They're about 6 or so pounds a piece. And you're carrying 2 of them?
I mean, it's got to be hell at the airport, but I mean, I look at it from a stance too as well. Like that was always as it was. Like we mentioned, the Undisputed Tag Team Championships when Jericho had it, when Carlito and Primo had it, when the Hart Dynasty had it. Like I look at those championships and it makes me. It's very interesting to see not only those 2 set of belts, but like I remember back in the day, like the multi-man belts and everything that went into the trios championships that we saw in Ring of Honor and even in the WWE, or if we've seen in New Japan, like the trios championships were cool. I think what we have in AEW now is very, very cool. That goes along with it.
I mean, I'll say it. The AEW trios titles, I'm not a fan of the pink that the Acclaimed has, but I like the design of those titles.
And I mean, it feels important from a trio standpoint with that division. And I got to say, I do love the AEW World Championship. I think it's bomb.
I don't like the removal of side plates. To me, that's like a WWE thing. It's just like you're supposed to be the opposite of what WWE is doing. And yet here you are doing it. Like...
And I mean, I look at it like it stands to as well, and also to back off with AEW, in a way, a little ECW here. The FTW Championship is just like when Taz introduced that, now Hook has it. I mean, it's very much with the lineage of the FTW rules. Do you like the FTW Championship or
I do. But, personally, call me crazy. There's one person I want to see win it.
Okay, go ahead.
Danhausen.
Okay, why Danhausen?
It's Danhausen.
You have such a love for Danhausen. I like him too. I like him too. I do, but it's just like,
you love that Danhausen.
I love this Danhausen. Very nice, very evil. Goddamn it.
No squares, or you'll be cursed.
Oh man! Now I will say this about.
I got to go off on a quick tangent. You know what we need?
Okay.
We need some kind of interaction between Danhausen and Santino Marella.
I would be all for that. That would
Think
be fun.
about it. The curse and the cobra.
Which is pretty much exactly what that similar gesture is. I like that. I like that a lot.
Think about it.
I'm thinking.
And
I like that.
I'll do you one better.
Okay.
R-Truth.
Hey now.
I'll start.
You're putting a lot of creative juices in everybody's heads with that. I like your style, man. I mean, as well with the championships, we'll do the what the hell since I mentioned it. Divas Championship. Like when they first introduced that, and you had Michelle McCool and Natalia, and Michelle McCool wins it. Then you see women like Jillian Hall, Melina, Mickie James, Beth Phoenix, Charlotte Flair, Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, Kelly, all these women have it. And I'm like, y'all look like a damn butterfly. Like, what were your thoughts on like how they went from the women's championship, the most predominant championship for the women, and then it's like, okay, we need one for SmackDown. Here's the Divas Championship.
Like that was call the Divas Championship fine, but really, that was the best design that you all, in your infinite wisdom, could come up with. That was it.
I remember when I first saw it, I was like, okay. Like, I like prestige. I like build to, like, okay, we're going to have a new championship. But it was ugly. Like, folks, it is one of the ugliest championships. I mean, a lot of the kids growing up nowadays didn't have to really be around that era like we did. Like, it started in 2007, and then it just, went on and on to the break of dawn. When they finally retired that, I was so doggone happy.
Yeah, thank God. Like, I never understood it. And I remember when AJ Lee won it, and then when Paige won it from her. Or sorry, Saraya.
Saraya, it's hard. It's really hard to not call her Paige too much, like Adam Copeland. Saraya, yes.
And I don't mind it. I don't mind it now. It could have used some tweaks. I just want to know what the hell was Vince thinking.
I don't know, but I mean, when you think of something like that's very original as well, and I have to mention it because God rest his soul, Virgil, the $1 Million Championship was a thing.
It was, though. Really, it only I think I saw somewhere that it actually cost like $100,000 or $150,000. It wasn't, and from if I remember right, the $1 million title used to be kept in Vince's office, in a safe.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was needed for TV, he would bring it out and it would, travel with him. Now that he's, been deleted, which, good riddance to bad rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder where it is, because I can't imagine they would have that thing in the warehouse.
I'm thinking like some belt collector has to have that. I mean,
Triple H probably has it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff that you would have to save in the warehouse, but I mean, that championship is so synonymous with great angles and just great television. It's like, how can you not? And I mean, for me, like,
yeah, that. But I will say this: I think, given that it's really it's not like the old titles that are just thin metal on leather. This isn't that. It's gold plated jewels. I would gotta imagine that it's got to be kept in certain conditions. Right. And it's probably in Triple H's office somewhere.
I mean, I will say this. You talk about conditions. I mean, for me, and I'll say this right now because we've seen it in video games, we've seen it in person. I grew up with the World Tag Team Championships that the likes of the Hardys won, Edge and Christian, the Dudleys. Like, I love those designs. Like, the World Tag Team Championship was such a beauty, how it has, like, the world shape, and then, of course, just everything from the color and the texture. I was always a fan of the old school World Tag Team Championships,
And
especially.
even like go beyond that, even like that version's predecessor, the one that like that Demolition had, the Heart Foundation.
Mhm.
You know, and we talk WWE, but you gotta give some love to WCW, like the old school WCW tag team titles.
Yes.
And WCW did not take care of their titles.
Mhm.
They didn't. Like,
No.
to give you an idea, the original Big Gold, the WCW World Heavyweight title,
Mhm.
when you look at it, you see it as black leather, right?
Mhm.
No, it was brown.
Wow.
It was a Cordovan brown leather strap when it was first given to Ric Flair. And over the years, you know, champagne, beer, baby oil, and well,
Smelling like body.
considering how many times Ric Flair held it, God knows what else is on that thing.
Need a black light for that son of a bitch.
No, we don't. We do not. We don't want to know. But if you folks, if you know, you know, and if you don't know, you don't want to know.
I mean, we could go the NXT Women's Championship route if you'd like, just to know what's been on that
No,
belt.
no, 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 no,
Nope.
no, no. We're good there. We are good there.
We
But
are.
it over time it became, it got darkened up, and they ended up re-leathering it a couple years back. It is not now. True story with that title. Years before, when WCW was kind of on the edge, when Steiner won the WCW title, he switched it out for a copy. And the original Big Gold is now in the hands of a private collector, a guy by the name of Conrad Thompson.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here.
And of course, you know who Conrad's daddy-in-law is.
Woo!
Yep. He is the son-in-law of Ric Flair. So if you recall, Ric Flair's last match, which I really, that match should have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
When Rick came out with that title. Now, that title is the same title that Hogan spray painted NWO on multiple times.
Oh, those moments, yes.
From what I've heard, if you had the original in front of you, I guess if you look close enough, you can see tiny specks of the black spray paint still there.
I mean, for how many times that they've done that angle and how big the NWO was, that's got to be many of times that belt has been spray painted.
And I look at it, and to me, there are certain titles that are iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Had to do it. Had to do the iconic.
Iconic. Well, that also makes sense because Sean Spears is now back in WWE.
As Sean Spears, which I love.
I love it too. Like, if you guys have not checked out NXT, watch Sean Spears, just this new character. It's still the chairman, but with a little dark twist. I like it.
I will say active titles now that I'm really fond of, wasn't at first, but I really like them now. Mm-hmm. The AEW tag team titles.
I like them. I think they have that precision and everything. It's clean. I liked it.
And they have kind of like a classic look to them. I like them. And, I think, I don't know if maybe you redesign them now, but it was the now former champions wore them very well. Briefly, but they wore them well.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm referring to Darby Allin and good old Stephen Borden, a.k.a. The Stinger.
I got to say, thank you, Sting. Retirement match aside, man, I got to say thank you for the memories, man. Whew. Oh.
A 61-year-old man going through a pane of glass.
All right, that's become a debate because Darby did and Sting did it. That a lot of people felt the glass was not necessary.
It's the last match. Like, did he need to do it? No.
No, but he went all out.
But it's like at the end of the day, it was a great match. Like, and I guess there are people that are kind of complaining that, at the glass spot that got cut, fans that were in like the front row.
Yes.
But you assume a certain level of risk. I guess they had a picture up on the Titantron before the pay-per-view it came on there, and it was just warning people, basically saying, if you sit in these rows and you see somebody coming towards you, you need to get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
By choosing to sit here, you waive, So it was a good match. It was a fun match, and I think those titles are a really good design. I think of all the tag titles out there, I think that they're honestly my favorites.
I mean, when Raw, it was very generic when they just had the raw red and then the blue for SmackDown. Yeah, I mean, I look at it like this as well. Like, probably one of my. Were you a fan of the hardcore? Well, we'll go this way: hardcore championship for WWE. I know it was very gritty, but I mean, the hardcore title.
I liked it. I
Me too.
liked it, and it worked.
It did.
I liked it better than what WCW tried to come out with.
Oh God! For those who've never seen it, Brian Knobbs as the WCW Hardcore Champion, and Eric Bischoff was the WCW Hardcore Champion. It was terrible. It was bad.
Everybody was WCW Hardcore Champion.
3 count. 3.
I think didn't you hold it for a brief period, like a couple minutes?
I'm sure I did. I pinned Big Vito. That was it. 1, 2, 3.
I pinned a mop. Held the title for a minute because then I lost it to Terry Funk.
There you go.
God rest his soul.
God rest his soul. But no, I mean, WCW as well. I'm going to say this. All right. We'll go like this because we have compare and contrast in here. WCW's version of the United States Championship or WWE's version, which was introduced in 2003.
And I'll even do WWE's U.S. title now. Of those 3,
yeah,
WCW all the way.
Yeah, and I will say this. This also ties into anything that also gets, acquired and everything that gets enlisted and everything that gets the overall aesthetic of a championship. John Cena, he spun those bitches on the United States and the WWE Championship. He spun on both of those belts.
Nope.
We're going here, Daniel.
No,
Edge has held the spinner title, and then he put Rated R on it. Like, you hate it. I can tell.
He hated it.
He hated it.
I don't know what I hate more, the spinner titles or you making me watch ECW December to Dismember.
I would probably, I'm going to say this right now. Probably the spinner titles just because they keep spinning. ECW December to Dismember, you can just toss to the side. You constantly saw that spinner title, and it was spinning. It was spinning.
Until Miz came along and stopped it from spinning and turned the logo upside down so it said M.
I didn't hate it. I did not hate that just because it fit the character. And I also like the fact with the U.S. spinner title, you had JBL blow it up, which I thought was hilarious. And when Orlando Jordan beat John Cena and went back to that original design for the WWE United States Championship, I mean, you got to also give kudos to a man by the name of Cody Rhodes because he brought back that original IC Championship.
Now, truth be told, initially that wasn't supposed to happen.
Okay.
What had happened, Cody had gotten a copy made just for himself from a different maker. Because if you remember, when he brought it back, it looked different.
Yes.
And then the person that owned the copyright saw that and it's like, they never asked me for that. Threatened to sue. And said, no, we're not doing this. I'll make one. You can use it. And that's the one that, now I'd heard when they have it on display at like Access or whatever they're calling Access now, WWE The World, I think is what.
Yes, I saw that. Cody Rhodes is going to be at the World. I mean, there's only one World, folks.
And it was a restaurant in New York City.
Yep, New Yorkers.
And their food was actually pretty good.
Doggone good. Get yourself a meatball sandwich.
And you had the folks. It was an experience. And it's a damn shame that y'all didn't get to see it. But it is now a Hard Rock Cafe. I digress.
I will say this. We have one of my favorite places I ever ate down here in Myrtle Beach. It was the first time ever I went to a Hard Rock Cafe down here. Very good. If you've never been to a Hard Rock Cafe, it's great.
It is. And the memorabilia is pretty freaking cool. And the fact that, it's from the actual artist. But, we talk about the spinners, and they overstayed their welcome.
Yeah, they did.
And the segment when The Rock won, it made no sense for Punk to have it. It made no sense.
Well, it didn't fit the character because he's anti-authority, and why would he want to hold the championship that's very authoritative and just that whole spinner thing?
And then to have The Rock just outright bury it. When he hold it and he's just like, put this in the warehouse or the Hall of Fame.
Yep. He did not want.
We get the first iteration of what's called the big logo, which worked, and then now we have the big logo, which is just kind of like a shield shaped title with just the W, the company logo. Like it's
pretty much what it is. And I mean, I have to also think of custom as well, and I think you'll like this reference. When Bray Wyatt won the championship and he had the Fiend on it, excuse me. Like, I love that, man. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, the custom Fiend title, which, Bray, God rest his soul, put him into the Hall of Fame already. Just fucking announce it.
I mean, the fact that you have him in the video game with the showcase, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, which, I actually just got through, playing the showcase, which is really cool that they had the Firefly Funhouse match, which it still is one of my favorite matches from that year. They made that shit work.
Now, I have to ask you, in the video game, because I can't wait to check it out. Is it, and how did they represent it? Was it good?
It was. My biggest gripe with the showcase mode was there were years that they didn't, when I think 40 years of WrestleMania, it means there should be at least one match on there from every WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
You have 39 of them.
Exactly.
So WrestleMania 39. So last year's, there were 3. We had 3 matches.
Mm-hmm.
We had Cody versus Roman.
Yep.
We had Bianca versus Asuka.
Yep.
And Charlotte versus Rhea.
Yep.
Which, okay, whatever. Now, just as an aside, people are saying, oh, they blurred out Vince. They blurred out Vince. I'm going to say this. People that are making this comparison clearly haven't played the games before. The reason I say that, with the showcase mode, and they do, like the video packages, if they're showing a video and you have people on there that aren't part of the match, they blur them out. They blur out the referees too. So, for example, let's say you were doing a showcase mode on Bret Hart, or showcase mode on Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
And, they would do Montreal, Bret versus Shawn. They would have Shawn put Bret in the sharpshooter, and when they show the video part of it, you wouldn't see Earl Hebner's face. You would just see a referee pointing to the bell and, doing the call, ring the bell. You wouldn't see anything else. Calm down. It's not a big deal.
Have you gotten the chance to do the My Rise modes yet?
Not yet. I started that, but what they did, they locked Brock to showcase mode and the
Mhm.
My Rise mode.
Now they locked him like you can't play as him like at all. Like was he involved in it and you just can't play at him at all?
Well, he has a couple matches in showcase mode.
Okay.
Um, of course, obviously the streak,
Yes.
and you play as him in that one, and that's it.
Okay.
My biggest, and this is kind of the frustration, because some of the matches that I would love to have on there, you can't because the people aren't with the company anymore.
Right.
Like, it would have been nice to have Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton versus Batista. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Triple H versus Daniel Bryan would have been nice. Kofi versus Bryan Danielson would have been nice. And honestly, Triple H, you know how many matches Triple H has in the showcase mode?
How many?
None.
Wow. Ooh. Not any of his matches.
I don't know if that was his choice.
Mhm.
Like, if they went to WWE with the list and said, hey, what about this list? But nothing.
I gotta say, I respect that because it's not about him; it's about all the other wrestlers. I can respect that. I can.
Oh yeah, very much. Taker had a couple.
Mhm.
Let's see, it was Taker versus Brock, and the first Taker versus HBK was in there as well.
Okay. How about Cena? How many did Cena have?
Cena. I'm trying to remember who he had.
JBL,
That wasn't in there.
Shawn, Triple H, the triple threat from WrestleMania
Triple
20.
H was in there, and honestly, I didn't really forget how great the match was.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 21, Shawn Michaels versus
Kurt
Kurt
Angle.
Angle.
Yeah.
Great,
Nice.
absolutely great match.
Okay.
WrestleMania 10, Bret Hart, and again, this ties back into the titles. Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels in the epic ladder match for arguably one of my favorite title designs, the old school Intercontinental Championship.
I like that one too. I think that one really stands the test of time. I mean,
Oh,
when
yeah.
you think of that era, I think of that, and I think the big winged eagle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When you think of the old school Intercontinental title, I think that title would look great on Gunther.
Oh, with how just like the bygone era and just how nostalgic and old school he feels. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. To me, Gunther is. I think he's something that he would work great in like old school WWE in like the 80s, even the 90s. Even if you think like the old school, like Luthez, George Hackenschmidt, guys like that. You look at somebody like Gunther and you think this guy's gonna hurt you.
I like just the fact that he represents someone that's not only believable, but he can move, he can chop you, he can beat the crap out of you, and it just feels so raw and authentic. And I'll tie back to championships here. Like we mentioned a lot of love for the television title with WCW, and I mean we mentioned WCW and WWE. I want to focus as well now, kind of with ECW too, because I got to bring this to your attention. The ECW championship that we all know and love from the original ECW, which was brought to WWE with Rob Van Dam. But then, well, they made another championship, which Mark Henry held, and Matt Hardy and Jack Swagger.
Nope.
You hate that so much.
I fucking hate it. The Big Silver is, kind of what the fans will refer to it as. Ugly. And let's see, who else had it? Christian Cage.
Ezekiel Jackson.
The last person to hold it. And he will tell you that. If you see him in signings and whatnot, he will refer to it as himself as the last ECW champion. I hated the Big Silver. It just, to me, it was a Vince thing.
I mean, like when they first of all, we're both old school ECW guys. That championship, just the design of it, like that's what I solidify and symbolize with ECW. When that came into fruition, I'm like, what the hell is this? Number one, but also number two, you have to do your own design. You have to just kill it. You have to kill it.
And and honestly, let me put it to you this way: like that is something that should have been done as soon as they brought ECW back. That's when they should have done it.
Yeah, and I mean,
Because I gotta be honest, the only person from of the WWE ECW people to hold that title that it actually made sense for was CM Punk, because he
yeah.
looked like he fit in ECW.
Well, yeah, I mean those old school promos in 2006 where we saw the debut and just he's talking about his tattoos and he's a man of discipline. I mean, and I even think back to like we talk about different designs. Like when you look at TNA, like I started watching in 0506 when you still had the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, and then they moved to the TNA Championship in 2007. What were your thoughts on that transition? Because you had the old
I
school.
liked, honestly, all the TNA World titles I've liked, except the initial GFW, which, if I'm not mistaken, was once held by L.A. Knight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, it was. Well, that was their thing because they merged in 2017 and they tried. They tried.
they did. And also held by a certain guy named Alberto.
All right. I saw the
Oh,
video. He was in the ring with Vampiro and Conan. They hugged. He cut a promo. The people cheered him in Mexico. He's back, baby. He's back in AAA.
but he's just trying to get back into an American promotion.
Oh, I look at it like Tessa Blanchard. Like Alberto is the only place like he really wrestles like full time or is allowed is AAA, and Tessa Blanchard is doing her thing in CMLL.
Because she's burned so many bridges.
And she's so talented too, but it's just like you got an attitude, girlfriend. Stop it.
Like, what really screwed her over was the whole TNA thing, that situation.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the belt hostage and I'm not going to come to work because of COVID. Which COVID,
And
but still,
like I said, fine, it's fine. But can you record?
like record a
Because
promo.
she couldn't get back into the country. That was the big thing because she was living in Mexico at the time,
Mhm.
and she couldn't get it back. She couldn't get
Yeah.
back.
She was with Dog at the time, yes.
And they're like, okay, fine, but can you at least record, promo, send it to us? I guess initially it said, yeah, fine, I can do that. And then finally they're like, hey, that promo, where is it? And she's just like, yeah, no, I'm not doing it.
Bitch. Biatch.
Like,
Ugh.
we made you the first women's world champion.
This is like a big deal for the company.
Like, she did it before Charlotte Flair did it. Or
She did.
ever did it.
Yes.
Which, honestly, I'm kind of shocked that they didn't book Charlotte to, I'm shocked they didn't book Charlotte to beat Roman. Vince would have booked it.
Oh, well, I mean, if you ask Vince Russo, the other Vince bro, they wanted to have, like, he denies it, but they wanted to have China beat Stone Cold for the WWF Championship. Which,
I heard that story, and supposedly Austin said no.
yeah, I mean, I also kind of compare it, like we mentioned Medusa earlier. There was this story where Evan Courageous at first did not want to lose to Medusa for the Cruiserweight Championship. So, I mean, hey. Yeah. Speaking of championship belts, the Cruiserweight Championship, WCW version and WWE. I like the Cruiserweight Championship. Yeah, both were great.
And honestly, the WWE Cruiserweight title that was once held by a certified G.
And a bona fide. So you liked it? Yes. So you were a fan of when the Cruiserweight Classic came back and we got that championship.
It was a great tournament, and the title itself was amazing.
Yeah, but then you put it on Enzo, and then yeah.
Now we also want to talk about what the fuck.
Yes.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention the WCW Cruiserweight Tag Team titles.
Oh, with Elix Skipper and like it was like a short list. Like it was very quick, right? It was very short lived.
It was like they're the casket's closed and they're lowering it into the ground and they're still trying to do business. Like, oh yeah, by the way, Cruiserweight Tag titles, they were ugly.
They tried, but I will say this. Another one that I have to mention, TNA X Division Championship, old school one, and then the newer version. What were your thoughts on the X Division title?
The one that AJ had, where it was just the
big red X.
No, ugly. Like I love the shape of the plates. I didn't like the X. Now, subsequent versions I liked. There hasn't been a version of that title where I didn't like it, where I absolutely hated it.
I
I like them
mean,
all.
yeah. I mean, they had the TV
And I'm
championship.
a big fan of the current TNA X Division champion.
Oh my god, yes. Yes.
About freaking time.
About freaking time indeed.
And the guy should be a former WWE World Champion by now.
You know what it is too, and I mean, you look at that TNA roster, and I will say this: I love it. I love it from the X division, from the tag team division, from everything that goes into
Yeah.
it. Like everybody there, it's so underrated, and it's unfortunate what happened with Scott D'Amore.
I think that's going to come back to bite him in the ass.
For me, it's like he helped a lot of people, but do you like the fact that we have this new person in the whole deal right now? The guy that took over.
I equate it to, I think it's too soon to tell, honestly. I do think it's going to come back to bite them in the butt. To me, it's like the movie Anchorman. You know, the scene where Veronica takes over and Brick just sort of looks at her and just says, "You're not Ron."
Yep.
I just want to look at the dude and be like, "You're not Scott."
No, just going back. Yeah. Before I was going to say, I was
shocked. I mean, it's
no.
what TNA does. I mean, I just kind of want to ask, hey, Rebby Hardy, what's your take on this?
Oh, Jesus. Well, I mean, you mentioned about damn time. I will say this for those who don't know what we're talking about. Mustafa Ali is the new X Division champion, which the fact that he didn't win a championship in the WWE is a crime. The fact that he didn't win the Cruiserweight title was such a crime.
The fact that he, was supposed to win Money in the Bank, but they give it to Brock frickin' Lesnar.
Yeah, and I mean, he was supposed to be, if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, he was supposed to be him in the chamber, not Kofi.
And I heard at one point Daniel Bryan wanted to face him.
Which, I mean, the thing too is he had such a meteoric rise because if you've not seen his work on 205 Live, one of his biggest great matches and feuds was with Buddy Murphy. They were really, really good. Like he was so underrated. Then Retribution happened, and yeah, that happened. And then he just became
the one that they were trying to make into be Antifa.
Yeah, and then they just put him with Mansoor, and then okay, we're gonna have the two Arab guys, Mansoor. So, I mean, it's about damn time, Mustafa Ali. And speaking of championships, I also have to put out to you, man. The Knockouts Championship has always become so synonymous with Impact. I always like the Knockouts Championship.
Oh yeah, never been a bad design. Like we talk women's championships, I love that design. Like I even love the simple, like the white. And honestly, I'm not a fan of white titles. Like I'm not. My issue is white gets dirty.
It does.
Look at close-up shots of the Intercontinental title.
Yes.
Look at when Bayley was the SmackDown Women's Champion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you look at that strap, it was bad. And, like, to give you an understanding, because a lot of people don't realize this, there are two copies of a championship. So we'll use, I would say Roman, but I can't because, Roman, he doesn't work TV. He only works TV. He doesn't do live events. So what they have two titles. There's the traveling title, which is the one that goes to house shows, and it's the one that the talent, takes home.
Mm-hmm.
What isn't there, or what a lot of people don't know, is there's also a version that what's called the TV copy. And right outside Gorilla, there's a cabinet with drawers, and in the drawers is the corresponding title. So let's say you're Seth Rollins, or let's say you are the World Heavyweight Champion. Let's say you have to go out and cut a promo. So what you do is you would go out, you would go to whoever's, you'd go to the prop master, you'd say, hey, I need the belt. They'd open it up, hand it to you. You put it, you either put it around your waist if you're going out to a match, or however you carry it, you do it, you hand it to the referee does what he needs to do, and then after the match, you take it, you give it back, and then so that's why the ones on TV always look so much nicer because they take better care of it.
That's what you have to do, that tender love and care with the championships. And then like Chris Jericho and just leaves it in the limo.
Except for Seth Rollins, and I'm talking WrestleMania 31 when he won the world title and he just helicoptered that damn thing.
Yes, he did. Now, I do have to ask you as well, because we mentioned a lot of the championships, and I mean Intercontinental, all these championships are beauties from their designs. When you look at another championship as well, won by William Regal, British Bulldog, Owen Hart, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, the European Championship. What were your thoughts?
I love that title. I love the history of it. I love when was it when Al Snow had it that he announced himself as from a different European
from Greece.
town.
Greece. I'm from Greece.
From Athens, Greece. What was it? Berlin, Germany, Cologne, Germany, like Paris, France.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There had always been rumors that WWE was gonna bring it back. And I think that's kind of what initially what they thought the NXT UK or what the UK title was gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that is the design that I really like, the UK Championship.
I think all those designs, it's unfortunate it's no longer there, but I mean, if you've not checked out the NXT UK brand, those championships were just beauties. I think the only one that's really still left right now is the Heritage Cup Championship, which is currently held by Charlie Dempsey, the son of William Regal, which welcome back, Sir William Regal.
And honestly, that segment was great.
Yep.
And him just saying, I'll defend it better than you ever would. And the chant of, he's your father.
Yes. Fee, fi, fo, fum, as William Regal said.
This is fee, fi, fo, fum. I'll be watching.
It was so good. I'm so happy that he's back.
Like, I'm thinking, like, okay, what's this leading to?
I could see him getting a guy to go against Charlie Dempsey and having them go for the Heritage Cup.
Yeah. But who?
We shall see. I'm for whoever.
And honestly, as a rule, I like the NXT titles. I'm not a fan of the colors on the men's and the women's world titles. I'm not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Although the champions, I'm big fans of. I'm a big fan of Ilya Dragunov,
who's just insane.
Oh, dude, guy's a beast. And also truth. Ilya Dragunov is the first Russian-born superstar to win a WWE championship.
Which, again, is such a milestone. And if you've not checked out his bouts with Gunther Walter, they're amazing. I got to tell you. Yeah.
Even also Carmelo Hayes versus Dragunov.
Yes, and I mean, for me now with Carmelo, I got to say him and Trick Williams is going to be really good with Stand and Deliver. I'm curious. Yeah. I'm curious to see how Tony D goes against Ilya Dragunov, which I think is going to be good in its own right. I'm hyped.
And we don't get hyped, folks. We
stay hyped. Now, when you think of championships, there's one that debuted and it's become synonymous with R-Truth, the 24/7 championship. Were you a fan of that design?
Initially, no.
Yeah.
It's R-Truth.
It is.
Anything attached with R-Truth,
it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I'm going to just fantasy book for a moment here.
Okay.
I could easily see Tony D beating Ilya Dragunov. I could see it.
Yeah. Yes.
And then I think what you do,
okay,
what I would really like to see happen with the Intercontinental title is a ladder match at WrestleMania. And you call it the Scott Hall Invitational.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Just think about it. 30 years, it'll be the 30th anniversary of the iconic ladder match at WrestleMania with Shawn and Scott.
Yeah.
So I think if I'm fantasy booking it here, I would have it maybe opening Because see, normally I would have said, "Hey, do it night 2." But then I think the opening contest of night 2 is probably going to be Seth versus Drew.
Mhm.
Because that's been now moved to night 2.
Yes.
Which, whatever. Okay. So I think what you do is you have, whenever you do the multi-man ladder match for the IC title. And just when they're about to ring the bell, you have you have Adam Pearce come out and you say there's one more. You have Ilya Dragunov come out, and then you have Ilya Dragunov win the IC title at WrestleMania, and you bring him up to Raw that day.
Okay. I mean, with it right now, they did announce the gauntlet match for next week. If there's anybody I'd like to see go against Gunther, I think him and Sami Zayn would be fun, or Chad Gable, because they still have history. But yeah, I'm excited.
Except for JD McDonough.
See, I liked his. I think he's a great wrestler, but him as a person, no.
I'm just, of all the people from Judgment Day you could go with,
Dominic, who fucking killed it on Raw with.
No, he didn't kill it. He got killed.
He got killed, but he looked very good in that match.
And you know what? Gunther made him earn his stripes.
Oh, yeah.
I can still hear those chops.
Me too. If you've not checked out Raw, go back and watch Gunther and Dominic.
Now, I always thought, well, and I forget who, I think it was Bully Ray that said this. What if you had somebody tap out to a Gunther chop?
Because it's so deadly, it's like a submission, like it's no boss.
Exactly.
I could see that. I like that spin on it. Yep.
Like, you folks, you want to see a video of how hard Gunther can hit. The video is titled "Gunther Chops the Soul Out of Adam Cole."
Oh, okay. We'll have to check that out.
Or it's Walter chops the soul out of Adam Cole. Like, literally, you hear it. Like, Adam Cole goes for a kick, and Gunther, kind of lifts him up. He does a flip, and then he just chops him. And it was loud. Or, heck, here's a better one for you. Walter versus Sammy Guevara.
And he just chops the living bejesus out of Sammy Guevara.
Sammy's, to give you an idea, Sammy's chest, when it was done, was the red is my background, folks. To give you an idea.
It reminds me of like when he debuted on NXT UK and he absolutely chopped the shit out of Jack Stars and he had like hamburger meat on his chest. It's how it is when you come with Gunther. And I mean, I have to mention another one for titles. I mean, we mentioned a lot in today's forum, and I got to say, folks, the championship makes the man, it makes the person. Exactly. It makes just such a great story. Okay, I'm going to wrap it into one because we mentioned a lot of great organizations. I have to go back to TNA for a second. The TNA Legends TV Global Championship.
King of the Mountain. Don't forget that.
King of the Mountain. Yeah, like it's the same fucking belt.
And like literally everybody held that title. Like everybody and their dog had it.
Mick Foley was a Legends champion.
Kevin Nash.
AJ Styles, Booker T.
King Booker.
Devon, Robbie E. Everybody.
Yeah, I will say a title that I do like now that I'm really, really a fan of. The World Heavyweight title that Rollins has. I love that it is and I'm a sucker for the big gold. All iterations of it. I love that title. I love that the World Heavyweight title is a classic homage to the old big gold. But it's also it's tastefully redone.
Agreed. I mean, you see the precision in that, and I mean, it's so synonymous now with what we see from the imagery standpoint. But you have to have that old school feel to it because, again, you want that importance in the story that you're telling within the overall presentation. And I mean, I look at the AEW side of things. We mentioned the tag title, the world title, the women's title in its own right. They got so many doggone belts, excuse me. It reminds me of like they got the Continental crown now, they got the international title. I mean, what are your thoughts on those, insertions, if you will?
Honestly, I like it. And I think the perfect person to hold it is Eddie Kingston, who to me, he's a modern day Mick Foley.
Mhm.
And I think he is the perfect one. He's somebody that the fans can really, really get behind.
It's very like the King of the Bums. It's very underdogish, and I can dig it. And I've seen Eddie Kingston wrestle in the Indies as a fellow Northeast guy. I got to say with the Continental Championship, which is now held by Roderick Strong, it's interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of compelling stories with all these doggone championships. I mean, Tony Khan also announced a Ring of Honor because we mentioned the greatness that is the Ring of Honor Championship, the tag titles, and how that solidifies it. But what do you think about them adding not only the ROH Women's Championship, and now we got the Women's Television Championship?
I'm all for it, but I think what Ring of Honor needs is a TV deal.
That's the problem, because all you can see is on Honor Club, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what I would really like to see happen is put it on Max. It's said that Warner is very happy with AEW. And I know initially CW tried to approach Ring of Honor or AEW to get Ring of Honor on their network, or Warner's like, hey, do you want to put Ring of Honor on CW? And he was trying to wait to renegotiate. And I think what's going to happen and what's going to determine how much AEW gets from Warner Brothers is what happens with the NBA deal. Does do they renew and do they stay on Warner? If that's the case, NBA is gonna want a little bit more money.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the money.
Nah.
I could see that happening. Now, if they decide to, to say deuces ooses and they yeet themselves off of TNT, yeet. I could see, Warner having a lot more money than be like, hey, Tony, what about this amount of money? And we'll also put Ring of Honor on, whatever time. Maybe, but I think Max would be a good choice. You could do it live. Then do it live.
Or do it live, pal. Ugh.
So, and I think the other thing to mention is they want to add even more AEW pay-per-views, which,
yeah,
okay, gonna have to tell more stories, which they can do. They have the capability, but are you gonna be able to do it consistently? And this is, it's. I think part of the problem is WWE has too many. AEW is supposed to be the alternative. Stop being WWE, or stop trying to do that. Like, look at the Dynamite logo.
NXT 2.0.
It's literally the NXT 2.0 color scheme. Like, I like the new set. I love it. But no.
I gotta say, but on the opposite, I think I have one more championship that I have to ask you about because we mentioned a lot of them. We mentioned tag team championships. What are your thoughts on, because TNA had the Knockouts Tag Team Championship and WWE has the Women's Tag Team Championship? What were your thoughts on the women's?
I like them. I do. Again, I'm not fond of the white strap. I think they get dirty too easy. But what I will say is I love when Chelsea Green won them.
Mm-hmm.
And then her husband, Matt Cardona, went on WWEshop.com, ordered a replica, had it overnighted to him, and then 2 days later, he had an indie show, wore the replica, didn't tell Chelsea he was doing it,
mm-hmm.
and called himself one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions.
It was so funny. It was that
And
GCW match, yeah,
she thought she was going to get in trouble for it.
and she didn't.
Apparently, Triple H thought it was funny. Just said, I don't care.
I mean, him and Steph Delander was hilarious.
And it works. Like, everyone's like, oh, Matt, when are you going back to I don't think he wants to.
Well, he's another one I have to ask you about. When he debuted the Internet Championship, like,
I love it.
I love it.
And you know what? You mentioned GCW. I'm a big fan of the GCW World Heavyweight title.
I've seen it. I think it has a nice little grit and rawness to it.
It has very much ECW vibes because, GCW is a renegade promotion, which it started off as Jersey Championship Wrestling, which, former GCW champion was just signed to WWE recently.
Okay, which one?
Another member of the bloodline, good old Tama frickin' Tonga.
Yes. Okay, you're correct. Yes, shout out to Tama Tonga. Okay.
Which, I think we're going to be seeing him in NXT very, very soon, stand and deliver.
Hell yes.
I think that's why we've got the Good Brothers in NXT.
I concur. First of all, again, we mentioned many times, I love the intertwining. And I think the only other thing I got to ask you about, besides, again, the healthy state, the amazing state of professional wrestling, Daniel, Okada, as we saw tonight on AEW, he's now the newest member of the Elite.
He's the third man.
He's the third man, damn it. What were your thoughts on the heel turn of Okada?
I did not see that one coming.
No, I did not either. It's very it was very peculiar to me because I wasn't expecting it, but then I thought it was interesting just because of the fact that he does have that friendship with the Young Bucks.
Yeah, and I gotta wonder, does this mean Kenny's coming back soon?
I mean, Kenny Omega this time the babyface and Okada the heel. I'm for it.
I'm all for that. I'm kind of curious, like, oh, okay, like you've piqued my interest. Consider my interest peaked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do we get like a 6-man kind of thing? So then what do you do there? Do you do Kenny and Hangman?
I don't know, but that's like the peculiar part of it. It's like you don't know. And I mean, with Hangman Page being suspended from the Elite, I mean,
and then firing Kenny because he hasn't made any of his dates. Like,
I mean, they're funny with some of their stuff. I do have to say I have been laughing at it. It makes me laugh.
And they're playing the heels, and people don't even realize you're being played.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you noticed this, but when they were about to give Sting the BTE or the
I know where I know
they said, "We're not sorry, we hate you."
Yes, I know.
Which, folks, because I know we probably have some younger listeners or people who just don't have a good memory, either or. WrestleMania 24, HBK versus Ric Flair. Ric Flair, the match is winding up, and he's in tears and he's looking at Shawn AJ saying, "Come on," and Shawn just says, "I'm sorry, I love you." But then for the Bucks to get ready to hit the EVP trigger on Sting and just say, "We're not sorry, we hate you," dick move, and I love it.
I gotta say, folks, if you've not checked out Revolution, if you've not checked out a lot of great wrestling, you're missing out, because I look at it like this: a lot of great storytelling. We now go to Stand and Deliver, then we go to WrestleMania, then we go to AEW Dynasty, which is their newest pay-per-view. There's a lot to talk about in the world
That's
of
the best name
professional.
you could come up with, Tony. Like, that's the
Well,
best name.
all right, hold on. Okay, before we do close this out, because we covered a lot of belts here, and I'm glad we did get to do this because I know this, for those that don't know, this is something that's very special and near and dear to Daniel's heart because Daniel is one of the biggest doggone belt collectors that I know, and you have such a vast knowledge for it. So I even learned a lot today. So thank you, Daniel.
I do.
Yes, you do. Now, okay, really quickly, AEW Dynasty. I know. When he announced it at the media scrum, I'm like, that's the name of the pay-per-view, AEW Dynasty. Okay, sure, why not?
Yeah, like that's what we're going with.
That's what we're going with. Which they teased the match tonight on AEW: Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay.
Which I would rather see that in Wembley, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, unless he has bigger plans for Ospreay and Wembley.
Maybe. And apparently Sammy Guevara is suspended again.
What a dumbass! What a
But did
dumbass!
he know? How could he have known?
He could have like turned in like different directions, but his knees handed right in fucking Jeff's face.
I mean, if you're gonna suspend him, I would suspend the referee too.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I don't hate Sammy Guevara, but I think he can be reckless at times. I'm sorry, he likes to do that high octane bullshit too much.
I think he's trying too hard.
He does. We have to put on great matches. But
now, and I'll make this as my final point.
Okay.
Is that necessarily his fault, or is that also the fault of the fans that we put such high demands on the talent to where they have to have great match after great match after great match? We put that pressure on them so that, I mean,
it's a mixture of that and that goddamn Dave Meltzer because 5 stars. So yeah, I think it's a mixture.
Star for you, Dave. There's a star for you. Right there.
I fucking hate him. I hate him, and I don't get me started on Dave Meltzer, but that son of a bitch. It's just like that's what we live for. Is a 60-year-old man child with a dirty office telling me what the hell a great professional wrestling match is. That's what I'm saying. Like I just whatever. I know a lot of people like him. Not my cup of tea. Who the fuck is he? That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I think it's that we rely on that and critics and also fans being the biggest critics of all. But I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes you don't need to just have 5-star matches. Sometimes the story in itself tells everything.
How long until Will Ospreay's hurt?
Well, I mean, he did fucking that brain buster. The fucking turnbuckle.
Which, honestly, folks, if you haven't seen Will Ospreay versus Takeshita from Revolution,
holy shit!
Like, oh wow, like that incredible match. Like, honestly, I said this to some of the guys. Great pay-per-view. I think some of the wrong people won, but not a bad match. Well, except for the multi-man match. I'm looking at you, Wardlow.
He needed to win that. He needed to win that very badly.
He did, but I think the problem was the injuries that really, really did not help.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So it's like I think Tony was forced to be like, okay, shit. Now what do I do?
Well, I mean, this is war once again. And I mean, when you look at that pay-per-view again, like I said, go out of your way and watch it also just because of Sting's retirement was done so well in the presentation. His kids dressing like Surfer Sting.
That was really cool.
That was so cool. And then getting
WWE, this is how you do a retirement match.
Well, his run in WWE I didn't hate. I always say this. He should have.
I mean, I'm referring to Kurt Angle's retirement match against.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying Sting in WWE. Okay.
No.
We'll go back. All right, hold on. I got to add to that because you also sent this to me, and I love this man for this. So, Kurt Angle, look, he wanted to face John Cena, and it should have been John Cena, but we didn't get that. We got Baron Corbin because it fit the storyline. And well, Kurt said, I'm gonna put Baron over, and well, people were pissed. People were pissed
because Vince said, no, you're gonna get Baron Corbin.
because you have a storyline with him, so we're going to have you face Baron Corbin. And the match was awful.
It was.
It was awful.
Their styles did not work.
Yeah, no. And I mean, I'm a big guy of if you're going to do a retirement match, you go out on top. But with Kurt, like, no, I was pissed when he lost to Baron Corbin. I know it gave him a lot of heat going forward, but with the story.
It's also the old school mentality that you go out on your back.
Yes. Which I get why Kurt lost too, but at the end of the day, it's just like not to Baron Corbin. Who I hated at the time, but now I love him.
I'm a big fan of what Corbin's doing in NXT. I love it. It works for him.
Like the War Dogs has become one of my new favorite tag teams.
Like, but I feel like they're getting ready to fuck it up.
I mean, I think they're setting up them in the club for Stand and Deliver, which I'm for.
And we're probably gonna get Tama Tonga. I think this is gonna be similar to how Adam Cole debuted.
Yeah, with the Undisputed Era, and we get them with the OC. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, because it's like this whole AJ thing, like.
Well, AJ and LA Knight's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that at Mania.
It should have been LA Knight, versus Logan Paul.
I don't mind. I don't mind Logan Paul and Randy Orton though. I don't.
Logan Paul better win it.
Oh God! I mean, the last time Randy Orton was the U.S. champion was WrestleMania going into that in 2018. But yeah, he doesn't need the U.S. title.
And I think it would do wonders for Logan Paul.
To get a big win over Randy Orton, hell yeah.
It would make him into a bigger heel than he already is.
Oh my God. Well, that pretty much says it right there, folks. Just making stars and making matches and making moments and memories. And that's what this weekend has been about.
Triple H, hire me.
That's what championships are about. Hire this man. Fantasy booking. I will put you on your creative team, sir. Oh, but yeah, Daniel, I will say this. We go from championship belts and manifestation of professional wrestling and what we do here on this show. And in our next episode, we are talking about the 2003 to 2005 career of one John Heidenreich. I like you, Gene.
I like you too, John.
We are going to be talking about Little Johnny, which was supposed to be about him talking to his penis. We're going to be talking about another Paul Heyman guy, Heidenreich, and his matches against The Undertaker. The Snitsky, yeah. Of course, Michael Cole.
Let's not forget Legion of Doom.
Him and Road Warrior Heidenreich.
Who actually absolutely hated each other.
Oh, we're going to get into that because they did not like each other. It was brutal, folks. It was brutal.
And then they were champions, and then Heidenreich is just like, I quit.
I think he had a lot of... Okay, well, there's a lot to dive into in that next one. But yeah, Heidenreich's tag team title one, his babyface run, the poems, the Michael Coleness, the Snitskiness, just everything that went into John Heidenreich's WWE career. We will be covering it. And we appreciate you. And if you've not already, subscribe to the Doggone channel because you get notifications. You get...
And click the bell.
Click the freaking bell. Daniel, we are up to 772 subscribers.
Why are you not subscribed already, people? Why?
You should. We're at 772. We're getting up there, folks. Let's keep it going up.
He's got good content on his channel here. Mike, what do you got on here for people?
Oh, my goodness. You can check out Deep Into the Heart of Wrestling with myself, Robert Davis, and Nicola. We just put out our AEW Revolution predictions. You can check out the weekly review with myself and the RWT Deadman, Mr. Paul Morales. You can check the Steve and Mike show, which Steve Nickel4 and I just put out our latest show, talking about the downfall of Vince McMahon, the death of Carl Weathers, and so much more. You can check out the Pop Culture History podcast. You can check out the LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships podcast, Beauty, Strength, and Dominance. And you can catch me, SM Show on MCL92, Twitter, Larkin_92, MLarkinMB, Instagram, and you can just check out the many great shows of On the Mic with Mike on this very channel. Now, Daniel Crimmins, I'm going to flip it and reverse it like I'm Missy Elliott up in here. Back to you. Let us know about the Pile Driver Pundit.
I am going to be back at it again this coming weekend. I had a little bit of a hiatus. Going to be doing a review of WWE 2K24. The good, the bad, I haven't found anything bad yet. I enjoy it, but we'll see. Me and the other show that I do, Kicking It with the TSK, we just recorded our most recent episode this past Monday. We discussed Revolution.
Mhm.
What we enjoyed, what we didn't enjoy, how some of the wrong people won. As much as I hate to say it, Smojo, wrong person won. Should have been Swerve. I guess he didn't swerve when he drove to the arena. Maybe that's why he didn't win. But check it out. And also, check us out here. We have more incredible shows coming, but you're going to have to tune in to see them.
Uncaged as we get closer to the end of season 3, folks. Heidenreich is next. I'm going to preview this just because I'm excited for these next 2 episodes and what we have for the 9 and 10 too. But not only do we have Heidenreich, we also have episode 8, which is one that I'm looking forward to as well. Stuff that wouldn't fly now to what we had back in the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era. Oh,
we could do a whole nother series on just that.
That is going to be probably a series, but this will be our first installment for episode 8. I cannot wait till we dive into that because, folks, there's a lot of stuff you can't do back now that we did back in the day, and we're going to get into it. So thank you, as always, for listening to Uncaged. Thank you, as always, Daniel, for the great topics and the great fun times and just talking about professional wrestling and some belts, you belt collecting son of a bitch. And you can check us out each and every time on this channel. We will see you in the next episode talking about Heidenreich and his poems. And that was a poem by Heidenreich. And this was another episode of Uncaged by Daniel Crimmins and Mike Larkin. We'll see you next time. And I like you, Gene.
I like you too, John.
See you next time, folks.